Alien Isolation is an incredible horror game. Not too many games have made me feel this much tension before. I've beaten it on difficulties ranging from medium all the way to nightmare, and each playthrough still brings something new. The dread never goes away, even though I know the map inside and out, and I know how it ends. So why does it still terrify me, even though it's been out since 2014? Games like Outlast, which came out around the same time, were scary too, but after a few playthroughs, that fear faded. With Alien Isolation, however, the terror stays with you, no matter how familiar you are with the game. In this video, we'll explore why this game has stood the test of time, and how it has set the bar for creating truly immersive horror. I grew up with the Alien movies. I remember watching them with my mom when I was a kid. The first one was good, but the second one, I fell in love with it. I even liked the third, mostly because I was a kid and thought, cool, the alien's eating people. By the time I got to the fourth movie, we had to dig it out from some old box of VHS tapes no one touched anymore. And yeah, that movie wasn't the best. Overall, the Alien series has always captured that mix of mystery and horror, the idea of venturing into the unknown. Few other movies manage to pull off that kind of suspense, that feeling of facing the terrifyingly unfamiliar and distant, hostile worlds. It's the essence of sci-fi horror, and I've always dreamed of experiencing that kind of world again. In Alien Isolation, you play as Amanda Ripley, Ellen Ripley's daughter. She's been searching for her mother, who's been missing for 15 years. No one knows what happened to the Nostromo. It just vanished. The game kicks off with Amanda getting a lead on the Nostromo's flight recorder, which leads her to board the Torrens to track down the signal. You wake up from cryo sleep, and from the first moment, you're dropped into an exact replica of the ship from Alien. The walls, the chambers, everything is perfect. The iconic music starts, and right away, you know you're in the Alien universe. But if you're like me and went in blind, you have no idea how horrifying things are about to get. You just know you're walking into something special. As I walked through the Torrens, I caught myself doing something I've never done in any other game, staring at the walls, like actually stopping to admire the walls. Every pipe, every flickering light that clicks on as you walk down the hallway. It's so satisfying. And the sound design, it's so good I could probably fall asleep to the ambient hum of the ship. Then you enter the cafeteria, and it's like you're standing in the scene where Parker, Ash, Dallas, and Ripley ate. The placement of the food, the subtle lighting, it's all there, like stepping right into the movie. And then there's the medical observation room. This is where Kane was examined after the nasty encounter with the facehugger. You can even move the bed into the scanner area, just like they did in the movie. The room, the sounds, everything screams nostalgia in the best way. It's eerie, but it's also comforting, like breathing in something familiar, but still feeling that tension creeping in. The game is an immersive trip into a version of the future that was imagined in 1979. You've got CRT monitors, clunky computers making loud noises, black and white footage on screens showing the station's Sevastopol. It's a future that feels outdated, yet it's still beautiful in how it's presented. Being able to walk up and interact with it all, it's indescribable. It's like the original movie brought to life, and that nostalgia makes it all the more powerful. There are two major infections affecting Sevastopol Station. The first is not biological, but corporate. The cold, calculating infection that is Weyland-Yutani. This mega corporation has been pulling the strings behind the scenes, setting events into motion without regard for any human life. They sent the Nostromo to the moon LV-426 after picking up a distress call through the ship's AI, Mother. Investigating these calls is company policy, under the guise of morality and duty. But as we know, the distress signal wasn't a cry for help. It was a warning. By the time Ripley figured that out, part of the crew had already landed on the moon. What they discovered was the infamous derelict ship, the source of the distress signal. Inside, they found hundreds of alien eggs clustered within a dark, eerie chamber. As Kane investigates further, one of the eggs suddenly opens, and a facehugger violently latches onto his face, implanting a deadly parasite. Thus, the horrific chain of events that fuels the alien universe begins. Weyland-Yutani's real goal? To ensure the xenomorph survives. Ripley learns through Special Order 937 that their mission was clear. Priority 1. Ensure return of organism for analysis. All other considerations secondary. Crew expendable. The game does a great job of drawing parallels to the original Alien. You get to play a section where you explore the derelict ship. Briefly, you play as Marlowe, a scavenger hunting for lost ships to salvage. His crew's prospects are drying up when they pick up a signal and head to LV-426. While inside the derelict ship, they stumble upon the Nostromo's flight recorder, lost since the first movie. The crew is mesmerized by the ship's eerie, biomechanical architecture. During the exploration, one of Marlowe's crew members is attacked by a facehugger, unknowingly bringing the parasite back to the ship. By chance, they later encounter Sevastopol Station and are granted permission to board. Head of Security, Marshal Waits, is tasked with maintaining order on Sevastopol Station, unaware that one of Marlowe's crew members carries a deadly alien parasite. After the facehugger dies, a xenomorph bursts from its host's chest, and within hours, it's wreaking havoc across the station, which is woefully unprepared for such a threat. Waits works to trap the alien, but his methods are far from ethical, risking Amanda Ripley's life in the process. Despite his determination, he shows no remorse about trapping her with the creature. Ironically, his fear of the xenomorph is misplaced, as he meets his end at the hands of an android attack at their base camp, illustrating just how far out of control the situation has spiraled. There's a grim irony in their fates. Amanda Ripley, isolated and betrayed, survives. Her solitude, which forced her to rely solely on herself, may have been her greatest ally, keeping her alert, resourceful, and focused. Loneliness is something we all grapple with, yet, in her case, it allowed her to discover what she's truly capable of, turning isolation into strength. Meanwhile, Waits, like many others surrounded by allies, meets his end, showing that survival sometimes demands resilience and self-reliance, more than numbers alone can offer. On Sevastopol Station, there's another corporate player, Seegson. It's a name almost forgotten. Seegson is a company falling behind in the tech race against Weyland-Yutani. They produce tools that you'll use throughout the game, like the cutting torch and the maintenance jack. But these tools only exist because Seegson's tech is so faulty. Their doors need a maintenance jack to open sometimes, and their system diagnostic device is only necessary because their systems are so broken. Seegson's tech is outdated, and the station's residents are painfully aware of it. You always know a working Joe. Seegson's pitch for its androids was meant to inspire trust, but at Sevastopol, it's more of a joke. Graffiti mocking the Joes covers the station. These androids are cold, lifeless, with glowing eyes and monotone voices.
Opponent's warehouse. Row 1, stack B. Follow me.
Especially compared to Weyland-Yutani's advanced models. Sevastopol's residents were leaving in droves for Weyland's superior tech and promising future. Seegson's androids aren't just unsettling, they're dangerous. One recording details a working Joe brought in for repairs, its head bloodstained, likely from attacking someone. By this point, the xenomorph is loose and disappearances are rampant. The space marshals attempt to conceal the truth, but it becomes clear that working Joes are also killing residents. Why now? In the midst of a crisis with the creature prowling through the vents, are the androids turning violent? One would expect these androids to be assets against a xenomorph, but instead, they're another threat. Lifeless and expressionless, these working Joes' glowing eyes signal danger when they turn orange. It's unsettling to see one emerge from the shadows saying, "You can't hide." Relentless and cold, they'll strangle you while insisting you're being hysterical. In contrast, let's look at Samuels, one of the game's most compelling characters. Samuels is a Weyland-Yutani executive who, surprisingly, is also an android. He embodies everything the working Joes lack. He's human-like, speaks naturally, and genuinely seems to care, like when he helps Taylor after her critical injury. If I had to choose, I'd pick an android like Samuels over a working Joe any day to oversee a station like Sevastopol. Samuel's complexity likely stems from Weyland-Yutani's pursuit of advanced technology. Unlike Seegson's basic androids, this high-level AI results in androids like Samuel's displaying empathy and a hint of individuality. Later in the game, he risks everything to help Amanda access Apollo, the AI controlling the working Joes and many of the systems of Sevastopol. Samuels dismantles dozens of Joes with ease, showcasing Weyland-Yutani's technological superiority. But this comes at a high price. The connection overloads him, ultimately trapping him in a fatal electrical surge, a sacrifice proving his compassion and commitment to helping Amanda.
The Apollo transit is open. Once you get into the core, it will talk to you.
You did that for me?
I wanted Amanda Ripley to have closure.
In many ways, Samuels parallels Bishop from Aliens, a compassionate android with a hint of free will and empathy, even though he's a creation of Weyland-Yutani. Weyland-Yutani itself remains the true infection, orchestrating the xenomorph nightmare from the start. Amanda learns that Weyland purchased Sevastopol, seizing control of the station. They cut off the communication antennas, forcing Amanda to reactivate them, and repurposed the Seegson androids to block access to essential resources. No one was allowed to escape, all to further Weyland's interests at any cost.